We're going to go feet shoulder width, nice big hoop, and we're going to gently turn our waist 3 to the right, 3 to the left in our feet. So we go 1, 2, 3, switch, 1, 2, 3, switch, 1, 2, 3, switch, 1, 2, and 3. Awesome. We'll put the left hand on the waist. We're going to reach over. 1, 2, 3, switch. 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 1, 2, and 3. Great. We're going to lift the arms, gently stretch towards the floor. If you bring your legs straight, just go as far as you can. And relaxing into it, stretch 1, 2, 3. To your right, 2, 3. To your left, 2, 3. Middle once, we stand up, inhale, and through the nose, exhale. And again, 1, 2, 3. To your right, 2, 3. To your left, 2, 3. Middle once, inhale, and exhale. Very good. Again, 1, 2, 3. To your right, 2, 3. To your left, 2, 3. Middle once, inhale, and exhale. Awesome. Hands on the waist. We're going to make a circle with the waist. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, and 2. And we switch directions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, and 2. Crossing the hands, we're going to place the hands gently on the knees. We're going to use the hands to kind of brace the knees, and we're going to make a gentle circle with the knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, and 2. We switch hands, switch directions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, and 2. Hands on the waist. We're going to turn the head gently side to side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, and 2. Back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, and 2. Tilting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, and 2. And rotation, looking all the way around. 1, 2, and 3, and switch. 1, 2, and 3. Also, just to clarify for anybody who's not familiar with the class, you'll notice that for some strange reason I count 10 and then 1 and 2, right? And so to explain that, it's not a super satisfying explanation, but our original teacher, he didn't speak English. He only spoke Khoisan dialect of Chinese. In Chinese, when you count to 11, there is no 11, it's 10-1, 10-2, 10-3. And so he learned to count in English, and he could scream no for hours on end. But, but when he would count, he would do 12 reps of everything, and so he would count always 10-1, 10-2, and it just kind of, you know, I was an impressionable young teen at the time, it stuck. So this is what we do. But just so you know, when we get to 10, everyone's like, okay, wait. So just so you know, there's another 2 coming with most of these exercises. Okay. So now what we're going to do is deep breathing. Palms up, elbows down, elbows out. Breathe in and out. Good. Palms up, elbows down, elbows out. Inhale and exhale. Very good. And again, palms up, elbows down, elbows out. Inhale and exhale. Good. So now we're going to open up our feet. Arms out. The arms are really just going to go along for the ride. So we don't want any kind of tension in the arms, or we really don't want tension anywhere in Tai Chi. What we're going to do is turn our waist and try to look behind us, and the arms are just going to go along for the ride. So we turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Very good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to point our left toe to the corner facing that wall. We're going to touch the arch of our right foot to the heel of the left foot, and we're going to step out with the right foot towards the right side. Yep. Very good. So this is called an empty stance or a neutral stance in Tai Chi. All of our weight should be on our left, right, which is bent. And we're going to gently shift forward, pushing off of our left leg and bending the front knee to accept that weight forward. Good. And we sit back. We go forward and back again. From here, we're going to pivot on the right heel, shift to the right, pivot on the left, and we go forward, back, forward, back. We pivot, shift, pivot, good. Forward, back, forward, back. We pivot, shift, pivot, forward, back, forward, back. We pivot, shift, pivot, forward, back, forward, and back. Very good. We shake it out. Okay, so now we're going to place the hands on the shoulders, and we're going to do it, I'm sorry, hands on the waist, knees and toes. Okay, so once again, the cognitive benefits of Tai Chi, boy, are they strong. Okay, so hands on the waist. We're going to do shoulder rolls going back first. 1, 2, very good. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1 and 2. Now we go forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1 and 2. Very good. Now we're going to pick the palms up, kind of hinging at the elbow, palms facing us. Turn the palm out and just let your arms free fall. We're going to inhale on the upstroke and exhale on the down, all through the nose. And you want to go at your own pace because trying to keep up with someone else controlling your breath cannot get away like that. So just go at your own pace. Good. Again, that deep breathing, palms up, elbows down, elbows out. Breathe breath in and out. Again, palms up, elbows down, elbows out. Inhale and exhale. And one more time, palms up, Elbows down, elbows out, inhale, and very good. Now we're going to make a circle with the wrists. So we want the hands to come up the middle, turn the palms out, and they come down. We don't want the hands to go much higher than the shoulder. That's going to determine the size of that circle. Very good. Hopefully everybody on Zoom can see this. Looks like at least one person's following. That's great. Awesome. Let's change direction so we can move the top and down the middle. Very good. Very good. Now we're going to bring both palms face down. The hands are going to both travel in the same direction. In the big circle, we're going to turn to the right, lift, left, down, right, lift, left, down on this third one, right, lift, vertical. And then we change directions, left, lift, very good, right, down, left, lift, right, down on the third one here, left, lift, vertical. And we change directions, right, lift, left, down, right, lift, left, down, right, lift, vertical. Switch, left, lift, right, down, left, lift, right, down, left, lift, vertical. Switch, right, lift, left, down, right, lift, left, down on the right hand side, lift the right arm up, vertical. Switch, left, lift, right, down, left, lift, right, down, left, lift, lift the left arm vertical, and switch. Very good. Okay, so now what we're going to do is bending the knees slightly, toes, 10 toes, lightly gripping the floor, no tension there, and we want to shift gently to the left and then the right. So when we shift, it's important that we do two things. One, we keep our shoulders on top of our hips. A lot of times when we shift, we end up lifting, and that carries the balance point beyond where we want it to be. The next thing is we need to bend the knees to kind of accept the weight on that side. You can imagine a skier with, their knees locked, they're going to be in the woods very quickly, right? But they keep their body upright by bending the knees at the apex of that knee shift. Yep, very good. So we shift, 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 and shift. Good. So we shift to the left. On this one, we're going to now stand up on the left leg, lifting the right heel. That takes all the weight off that foot and makes it much easier to move. We bring it in, extend out, bring it in, back to the side. Now we shift to the right, stand up on the right leg, lifting the left heel, bring it in, out, in, out, very good. Shift, lift, bring it in, out, in, out, shift, lift, bring it in, out, in, and out. That was really well done. So the next move that we're going to do is called a walking leg swing exercise. What we're going to do is stand on one foot and then swing our leg. So we're going to put all our weight on our right foot. We're going to put our left foot back and bring the left foot forward. So before we do the arms, we just want to make sure that we're able to get that foot forward without putting weight on it. If you look from the side, if you see my shoulders come forward and back, then you know that there's been a momentum change because my weight has shifted forward and back. What I'm trying to do in this exercise is keep all my weight on the supporting leg. No matter where this foot goes, my weight is still on top of the leg that has the weight on it. So whether I touch or swing, I don't want to have that kind of momentum shift where I'm changing my balance. The reason for that is, as a rule, in Tai Chi and just in movement, if we want to move our foot, we have to take the weight off of that foot. Right? We agree that this is much harder to move this foot this way. When I take all the weight on this side, it moves much more freely. Right? It's not to say that we can't move with weight on the foot. I can kind of torque through, but the knee is not going to be happy about it, the hip's going to complain, and your ankle won't be too slight either. So it's much better if we can take the weight off of the foot. When we're doing this exercise, where we're touching or swinging the foot forward, if I land before I can now move this foot again, I have to take the weight off. And this creates this kind of swinging of the body where I'm not in control of the balance, but I'm kind of a victim to it. So if we want to control our balance, we want to try to keep all our weight on the supporting leg. So we bring that left foot back, forward, and back. So with the left foot back, we're going to bring our left hand forward. And we're going to switch arms as we bring the foot forward. And then we switch. Good. Switch. Switch. Very good. Switch you don't have to touch. If you're able to keep it swinging, that's totally fine as well. Switch. Switch. So we want to swing the hand on the same side is opposite of the foot. So as the foot comes forward, the hand on that side goes back. We can always reset by putting the foot back and the hand on the same side forward. And then swing. There it is. Good. Good. All right, now let's switch. Get the right foot back and forward, back, and back. So now with the right foot back, right hand forward, and we switch. So as the foot comes forward, we want the arm to counterbalance. Yep. So a funny story about this. When we're doing this, everybody in this room knows how to walk. I don't have to give anyone here walking lessons. You all got into the building as fruit, you know how to do, right? And so when you walk and you're relaxed, you're probably doing some version of this. Right? Maybe you have your arms full of heavy bags or something that might change. But under normal, relaxed condition, you're going to do this. In fact, everybody on the face of the planet with legs and arms does it. Right? No one has taught, there's no walking federation that has given out instructions on how to do this, and yet this is what happens naturally. This is your body's way of naturally counterbalance. Okay? So we all know how to walk. Why is it that when we're trying to coordinate this, we end up doing this? Right? And the reason is that we don't think about how to walk. It's already automated. And so because we don't think about it, we're not distracted in the coordination area. We just go. We never tell ourselves, okay, I'm going to walk now. Let's see. Right foot and the left hand. And okay, you just go. Right? And that's actually the principle and the idea behind these exercises that we're doing, is that over time, we're going to build in a kind of a muscle memory where we don't have to think about it. But observation changes the experiment. As we are thinking about it, that's a distraction from the coordination, and we can end up off track. Totally normal, completely fine. In those cases, we want to make sure that we just start from that reset position. We go, okay, wait, I thought this hand was supposed to be opposite. So, okay, I'm going to put the foot back, the hand forward, and now I'm going to go. So you can always just go back to that reset position. Very good. All right, so now we're going to do the one to the side. We're going to put all our weight on the right. We're going to bring the left foot out, just touch the side. Bring it in, out, in, out, in, and out. Good. So the left foot out, we're going to put both hands to the right. Now both hands are going to swing together in the same direction. So as we bring the foot in, the hands come across, out. Good. In, out. In, out. Excellent. In, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, in, and out. Beautifully done. So let's put the weight on the left leg, reach out and touch with the right. We're going to put the hands to the left and come across as we come in, out, perfect, in, out, in, out. In, out, 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 and in. Very good. So very quickly before we move on to the next exercise, these exercises that we're doing where we're on one foot and in motion challenge our balance. And that's by design, right? It is necessary if we want to improve our balance to challenge it. If we sit on the couch, we never challenge our balance to that. I'm not saying anything bad about sitting on the couch. I love sitting on the couch. But, you know, a good book or a movie and my kids wrapped up in a blanket with me, I'm all set. I'm not going anywhere. But it's not going to improve my balance to do that, right? And so when we're doing these things where we are challenging our balance, right? As long as we're not bouncing off the floor, falling down, which hasn't happened yet in class. So there are going to be times when we wobble, right? Even deep breathing, if we go up on the toes, we might kind of, whoa. And actually, you should never see that as a negative event. You should always see that as a positive event. The reason for that is that when you are losing your balance, your brain is finely attuned to that. Nothing focuses your brain to balance like losing your balance. Because your brain goes, okay, this is important, prioritize this. And so anytime we have one of those moments, whether it's this, or we're here, and kind of, whoa, it's actually a positive thing. It really does help balance moving forward. So we don't want to see that as like, oh, you know, it was terrible. I almost lost my balance there every time. Yes, I almost lost my balance there, right? So, okay, very good. So the next one we're going to do is fairly complex, but we're going to break it down into simple components and then kind of reassemble those components, all right? It's called silk reeling. I'm going to show you what it looks like to start just as an example, and then we're going to break that down. So don't look at this version. I'm going to show you while I'm on my way. People are heading for the exercise already. So what we do is we step out into this empty stance, and the exercise looks like this. Right? Now we're not going to do that to start. The first thing we're going to do is the legs. If we point our right foot directly towards the front of the leg, and we put the arch of our left left foot against the heel of the right, kind of in a T stance like this. And then we step out with the left foot to the left side, exactly. So now we're going to shift to the left, release the hip, just relax, you end up turning to the left. Sit back on your right, relax your hip, you end up turning back to the front. Shift and relax the hip, you end up turning to the left. Sit back, you end up turning to the right. The reason for this is your body is naturally inclined to align itself to the direction of the foot that has weight on it. Right? An easy demonstration of this is if I crank this toe around, if my hip is tight, I can take the weight all the way off of my other foot and still not move because the hip's not relaxed. But if I release my hip, I end up facing this way. Not because I'm trying to turn that way, because that's your body's more comfortable here than it is here. Right? I take all the weight off and release my hip, I end up facing this way. So when we step out here, this foot's facing this way, this foot's facing this way. When I shift to the left and release my hip, my body can turn to the direction that was pointing. When I sit back on the right, the key is having to release the hip. If I release the hip, my body ends up facing the front because this toe is facing the front. So I shift, turn, sit back, turn, good. Shift, turn, sit back, turn, shift, turn, sit back, turn. Awesome. So, yes, question? No, actually, it's a really good question. So, what we want to do is have the body turn because we brought the weight completely from one side to the other, and the hip is more comfortable aligning to that direction. The turn of the waist is actually what we consider passive. It's something that happens, it's reciprocal motion. It's something that happens as a result of shifting the weight and relaxing the hip. If I turn my waist in a purposeful way, what ends up happening is I'm thinking about turning the waist, I'm turning my waist before I even shift it. And I've kind of broken that process of naturally getting the body to align itself. And it takes kind of more thought and concentration. Okay, I have to turn, so I'm turning, and then I go here. And then I turn, and I'm going here. If I simply relax into it, I don't have to think about the timing of when to turn. I just have to get the weight all the way on that leg and relax. But it's not intuitive, right? So it's a good question because it's not something that you would necessarily pick up on your own. But that's what we're trying to do. Yeah. Sure. Yep. So what happens, the extent to which you will turn is directly relational to how tight the hip is. Right? Because as we can see, if I crank this foot all the way around, we would all recognize that my body wants to be facing that way. But if my hip's really tight, I don't move. It only happens when the hip releases enough for me to move. So if you have tension in the hip, it's another reason why you don't want to kind of force the turn, because you're not giving the hip a chance to release into it. So if you only go like a quarter of the way or an eighth of the way, that's okay. As long as you feel that there's a change from here to here, even if it's a slight change. What you're doing then is increasing the mobility of the hip, which is a ball and socket, right? And so if you turn at the waist without the hip, you don't give the hip a chance to loosen up into that movement. The more that we do this, maybe it starts and I only turn a little bit, and I sit back and I only turn a little bit. But over time, that's going to improve the mobility of the joint, and it becomes much more mobile. Right, so, really good question. All right, so let's try that. We put the left foot straight out. We have that alignment of the feet. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add the arms. So we're going to put the right hand to the shoulder and the left hand to the hip. Don't panic, we're going to make it through this. So from here, we're going to shift to the left. We're going to lift our left hand up. We're going to bring our right hand at that same angle down. Good, and now we're going to turn and bring the left hand. So again, right hand to the hip, sit back. Left hand to the, right hand to the shoulder, left hand to the hip. Shift to the left, lift the left hand, draw down with the right, turn, draw down with the left. Right hand to the shoulders, sit back, left hand to the hip, shift to the left, and hit the left, draw down with the right, turn, draw down with the left. Left hand to the shoulder, sit back, right hand to the hip, shift to the left, lift the left, draw down with the right, turn, draw down with the left. Very good. So also where we put our feet is going to make a big difference in how long this works. So I have floorboards, so I can cheat. So with the straight line of the floorboard here, I touch the arch of my foot to the heel of my other foot. So the arch is this part of the foot, you want touching the heel, the back of the foot of your right foot. So your right foot, let's all start with the right foot facing this front wall. Yep, very good. Perfect. Now we're going to step straight out with our left foot. Not your other one. That was your right foot. There you go. Good. Okay. And so one other thing to point out about this is that if when I step out, this foot comes over, you see it's not in a straight line with the heel anymore. As I go to shift forward, I'm actually putting some lateral force on the knee, which it's not going to let. So if I can step in line with that heel in a straight line, then when I shift to that side, it's much more natural and legal. Yep. Good. So hold on a second. I'm going to just jump down. Actually, yep, there you go. That's the one that I think of. No worries. Like I said, this is not intuitive. You could, become a Taoist ascetic and go into the mountains and, you would never come out with this, right? So this is something that requires some help with. So we're going to step out. We're going to put the right hand to the shoulder, left hand to the hip. We're going to shift to the left, right, and lift the left hand, draw down to the right, turn, draw down to the left. Very good. Right hand to the shoulder, sit back, left hand to the hip, shift to the left, lift the left, draw down to the right, perfect. Draw down to the left, that's excellent. Right hand to the shoulder, sit back, left hand to the hip, shift to the left, lift the left, draw down to the right, turn, draw down to the left. One other thing that can kind of help us, because anytime you cross your hands, you're causing a problem for your brain. Right? And Tai Chi, we cross our hands a lot. Your brain, when you wake up in the morning, it expects to see your right hand and your right foot on the right hand side and your left on the left. If it finds that this is happening, it probably is going to have a hard time figuring it out. An easy way to demonstrate this, interlock all of your fingers like this, now move your left ring finger. You have to think about it. Right? Okay? So that's because your brain isn't sure which finger is which because it expects to see these ones on this side and these ones on this side, and when you put them on the wrong side and confuse them a little bit, your brain has to do a calculation. And so it's 100% natural that in all these exercises where we're crossing our hands, there's an opportunity for the brain to get tripped up. And that's totally fine. It's part of the process that we work through to get to a point where that doesn't happen. But as a rule, something that can help, there are two things. What goes up must come down, and what goes down must come up. So the hand that's high should come down, and the hand that's low should come up. And another way to look at it is, when I shift to my left, I want my left hand to be the one that comes up on that side. When I shift to my right, I want my right hand to come up on that side. So if I shift to my left and I'm bringing my right hand up, it'll come up with this hand on the same side, right? So let's try the other side. So the same thing, we're going to point our left foot down towards the front of the class, arch of our right foot against the heel of the left. So you see that we're at the back of the left foot here. We're going to step out to the right. We're going to shift to the right, relax, turn to the right. Sit back on the left, turn to the right. Shift to the right, turn to the right. Sit back on the left, turn to the left, good. Shift to the right, turn to the right. Sit back on the left, turn to the right. Excellent. So now, left hand, right shoulder. Right hand, left hip, very good. Shift to the right, lift the right, good. Draw down to the left, turn, draw down to the right. Left hand to the shoulders, sit back, right hand to the hip, shift to the right, lift the right, draw down to the left, turn, draw down to the right. Very good. Left hand to the shoulder, sit back, right hand to the hip, shift to the right, lift the right, draw down to the left, turn, draw down to the right. And one more time, left hand to the shoulders, sit back, right hand to the hip, shift to the right, lift the right, draw down to the left, turn, draw down to the right. Awesome. That's really what I'm going on. You're shaking your head, but it was pretty good. Sure, but you know, having to stop and think about what's happening is not a negative, right? It's a challenge, but that's also one of the benefits of Tai Chi. I joke about it because I'm always forgetting things, but you know, there is a cognitive benefit to doing something complex where you have to think about it. Even this, where you go, okay, move my ring finger, well, you said the left ring finger. Having to think that through sharpens that connection between the brain and what's happening in the body. So it all actually does have a use for it. All right. So the next one we're going to do, we're going to lightly touch our left toe to the front. We don't want to put our weight on the left foot, no matter what we're doing in this exercise. Okay? So all the weight's on the back leg. We do want to bend our right knee slightly, because if the knee is locked, any movement is going to transfer through the hip and can affect our balance more. If we bend this knee again, it's kind of a shock absorber and can help to keep us vertical. So now we're going to cross the wrist with the left hand on the outside, and again, we're crossing the hands, so this is territory that we could easily get a little messed up in. It's not a problem. We're going to lift the elbows to horizontal, extend the left hand towards the front, and now turn your body to the front. Good. Drop the elbows to vertical, come back to the front, and cross left hand to the front. Lift the elbows, extend the left hand to the front, turn to the corner, drop the elbows, turn back to the front, cross the left hand to the front. Get back. Lift the elbows, extend the left hand to the front, turn to the corner, drop the elbows, turn back to the front, cross the left hand to the front. Lift the elbows, extend the left hand to the front, turn the corner, drop the elbows, turn back to the front. Very good. Let's switch feet and hands. So now the right hand is on the outside. We're going to lift towards on the elbow, extend the right hand to the front, turn to the corner, drop the elbows, turn back to the front. So we're going to lift the elbows, extend the right hand to the front. We're going to turn to the left corner. Good. Drop the elbows, turn back to the front, crossing the right hand to the front. Lift the elbows, extend the right hand to the front, turn to the corner, drop the elbows, turn back to the front and cross. Good. Lift the elbows, extend the right hand to the front, turn to the corner, drop the elbows, turn back to the front. Very, very good. Okay, so that one is a tongue twister for the hands, right? But that's pretty good. All right, we're going to go feet shoulder width. Everything relaxed. We've done two extremely complicated exercises. We're going to do one that's a little more on the simple side. So we're going to raise the arms gently, drop the elbows, the hands come back towards the body, and we're going to press down and settle in the legs. Stand up and lift. Draw down, press and settle. Good. Lift, draw down, press and settle. Lift, draw down, press and settle. Lift, draw down, press and settle. Very good. Now we're going to hold the low hoop. So the elbows out, palms up towards us. Consider if you were holding kind of a big ball here, right? And we want to just relax everything and breathe gently. Good, let's raise the hands, that same hoop, shoulder height. You want the elbows out, nice full position, very good. You might notice a little tension in the shoulders from doing this. You want to try to breathe through that and get the muscles to release. Breathe deeply in. There we go. Let's drop the elbows, holding a small ball between the palms. Nice. Good. Let's turn our elbows out. We're going to turn the palms over, straightening the arms, the legs, and most importantly, the spine. As though a marionette puppet is being picked up by that string at the top of the head. We're standing tall up the left. We extend the wrists, fingers towards the floor, arms just kind of breaking off the shoulder. Very good. Keep breathing again, palms up, elbows down, elbows out, inhale. And very nice. Palms up, elbows down, elbows out, inhale. And exhale. And one more time, palms up, elbows down, elbows out, inhale. And exhale. Excellent. So now we're going to step out into that same stance that we were in for the very complicated slope drilling exercise. We touch the edge of the heel, one step straight up. Okay. So just a very quick word on mirror image, right? Because what I'm doing right now is mirror image. And so mirror image is either your best friend or the devil. And it has nothing to do with intelligence, aptitude, or skill. It just has to do with how your brain is wired. It's like being left-handed or right-handed, right? So if mirror image confuses you, which it does for 50% of the people who walk in, they say, okay, no problem. He said, hold up his right hand, and he's holding up his hand on the same side. I can do that. And the other 50% of people are saying, Lucien's a liar. He's holding up his left. He's telling you that. Okay? So if that's the case, one of the things that you can do is always listen to the narration, because I always narrate from your perspective, not mine. So even though I'm doing the mirror of what you're doing, if I say, point your right foot to the front of the class, then you want to point your right foot to the front of the class. And I say, put the arch of your left foot against the heel of your right and step out with your left foot, then that narration is exactly what you're trying to do. Right? So even though it's confusing to see me step out on the left-hand side, the reason I do mirror image is because if I'm doing all of it in the same side as you, you can't see what's happening with my hand. So this is, now mirror image from the front makes much more intuitive sense to people, right? You brush your teeth facing the mirror, you don't typically do this. Right? And so when we turn to the side, it's going to pose more of a challenge to you understanding mirror image because we're not as familiar with that movement. But that's what we're doing here anyway. So we're going to step out with this left foot. We're going to put the right hand at the left shoulder and the left hand at the right hip. Good. We're going to shift. We bring the left hand up and the right hand down. And then we sit back and reset. So right hand to the shoulder, left hand to the hip. Good. Shift. Open. Sit back. Close. Very good. Shift. Open. Yep. Sit back. Close. You got it. Shift. Open, sit back, close, shift, open, sit back, close, shift, open, sit back, close. Excellent. Let's try the other side. So we step out with the right foot, we bring the left hand to the right shoulder, right hand to the left hip, we shift, open, So remember when we go to the right side, the right hand is the one that's going to come up on that side. Yep, so let's try it again. Yeah, you had it. So we're going to go left hand to the right shoulder, right hand to the left hip. What goes down must come up. So the hip hand comes up high. We shift to the right, we lift, and we draw down. Good. We sit back and reset. We shift to the right, lift, and draw down. We sit back, reset. Shift, open. Very good, everyone. Sit back, reset. Shift, open. Sit back, reset. Shift, open. Sit back, reset. Shift, open. Sit back, reset. And one more time, shift, open, and sit back, reset. Very well done. So now we're going to go keep shoulder width again. We're going to bend the knees slightly. One thing about a shoulder width position, most of us will either pronate or supinate with our gait, right, with our stance. We want to try to have the feet shoulder width and parallel. And the reason that I don't want to let my toes kick out is that that's going to kick my pelvis forward and it affects my balance. The same as if my feet forward, it kicks my coccyx to the back. So having the feet actually parallel is going to help when it comes to balance and motion on the floor. So from here, we're going to start with both palms down. And if you recall, we did this exercise with the circles at the same time. We do the same thing, but we're going to do the right hand on its own. Very good. Now we're going to do the left hand on its own. Yep, now we're going to switch right hand and left hand. Right hand and left hand. Right hand and left hand. Very good. Now from here, we're going to add, of course, to this Tai Chi turning the waist. It was too simple the other way. We have to complicate things, right? So we pick up the right, we turn to the right, we put it down. We pick up the left and turn to the left. Very good. We put it down. We pick up the right, we put it down. We pick up the left, we put it down. So that's largely what we're looking for. One thing that we want to add to that, just as a detail, not another movement, but that when we're making these circles, we're not just letting the arms come straight down. We're actually kind of leaving the wrist as though it's on as though the palm of our hand is on an invisible counter. So when we do this, we're not doing this, but we're doing this. And so when we do one and then the other, we want this hand to kind of, the wrist is bent and it's though it's on an invisible counter. So when I pick up my right and turn to my right, I want to bring my left hand across that counter with me. I put it down, I pick up my left. I turn to the left, the right hand comes with me. So instead of moving the arms independently of the body, when I pick up my right, as I turn the body, this arm comes with it. When I put this hand down and pick this one up, as I turn the waist, both hands come with me. Good. I put it down, pick up the right, turn to the right. Very good. Put it down, pick up the left, turn to the left. Put it down, pick up the right, turn to the right. Put it down, pick up the left, turn to the left. Awesome. All right, so now we're going to go to that low hoop position again that we were in earlier. This time, with the elbows out, we're going to lift that hoop so the hands are above the eyebrows. Turn the palms out. Drop the elbows to vertical. Cross in the middle and back down to low hoop. And everybody's like, seriously? But yes. So we lift, palms out. Drop the elbows. Cross, doesn't matter which one's in front, and back down to the low hoop. Lift. Palms out. Drop the elbows cross, low hoop. So when we have this hoop here, you'll notice my hands line up with the hips and the shoulders, right? When I make my hoop go above the head, I want to lift where I'm hinging or pivoting from the shoulder, so I don't want to bring the hands out. I want to keep that alignment here. Now I turn the palms out. Now I drop the elbows cross in the middle and back down to that low hoop position. Good. So I lift, palms out. Drop the elbows cross, low hoop, lift, palms out, drop the elbows cross, low hoop, very good. Lift, palms out, drop the elbows cross, and low hoop. Excellent. Let's go shoulder height this time. Turn the palms out. We're going to trace a figure eight pattern on its side, parallel to the body. And what I mean by that is our hands are going to trace this pattern as a figure eight. Right, one hand doing one side of the figure eight, the other hand doing the other. The way we make this happen is by moving the elbows and relaxing the shoulders. So as the elbows come down, the hands start to move to the right side, and the elbows in, and out. Good. In, and out. Excellent. In, and out. 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 Excellent. So now we're going to bring the palms waist high, palms face up. We're going to pull the elbows out and complete this circular motion. Gather two fists and extend it. Palms up, one circle, one fist, and extend. Palms up, one circle, one fist, and extend. Excellent. Palms up, one circle, one fist, and extend. Beautiful. Now we're going to do a neutral position. This is basically just a triangle. We want the fingertips to be the height of the nose, which you can see from the front. And I'm going to turn to the side so you can see my elbows are down. I don't want to be out like this. And they also happen to be bent at a 45-degree angle at the elbow. And so if your arms are bent at a 45-degree angle with your elbows down, that puts your fingertips naturally at the height of your nose. If you bring your hands in, that's now where you want to be out here. Good. So from here, we're going to maintain the center line. We're going to keep this middle position with both hands, but we're going to draw the right hand down towards the height of the knee. So we keep that center position, but we bring the heel of the right palm down the height of our right leg. And then we come around. Good. Now we come down with the left. Nice. And around. Good. Draw down and around. 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 Very good. Horizontal elbow with our right arm, palm facing us. The thumb is up. Left palm against the right palm on the inside. Good. So now we should have our left elbow down and our right elbow up. Creates this kind of 90-degree angle here. And we want to relax everything. We want to relax the shoulder. The right elbow descends and the left elbow comes up. And we switch. Okay, so we're just getting that mobility out of the shoulder. Good. Awesome. Very good. Switch. We're going to round out with the left palm facing us. Right palm against the left palm from the inside. We have one elbow up, one elbow down, and we're going to do alternate. Good. Great job. All right, back to that neutral position. What we're going to do here is called drawing the bow. We're going to turn to our right and then turn our body back to the front. And we end up aligned to the side as though we have a bow in the middle ready to fire to that side. What we don't want to do is just use the arms, right? In Tai Chi, we're always coordinating the movement by driving that movement from your body. And so what I mean by that is I could hold on to the bow and just pull the string with my arm. It's going to be super tense, and who knows where you guys are going. I could hold on to the string and just push out on this, and this is also going to be super tense. But an archer who had experience would know that they have to use their body to be efficient and not use too much muscle. So they would gather their bow, they'd turn towards their target, and then they would turn away from the target, and that would give them alignment without having to use a lot of muscle. And so that's what we're doing here. From here, we're going to turn to the left, and then back to the middle. Good. We turn towards the right, and then back to the middle. Turn towards the left, and turn back towards the middle. Okay, just switch in. There you go. Now turn towards your right and back to the middle. So this one can be really tricky visually. I'm going to do this actually conventionally. So if we start, turn to the right and turn back to the middle. Turn towards your left and turn back to the middle. Turn towards the right and back to the middle. Turn towards the left and back to the middle. Did that help? It did, right? So it's really a visual thing, right? So sometimes it can even help you to either look away from me or to close your eyes for a second and hear the narration just to go, okay, yeah, that's the hand. Because as you're seeing it, the brain's doing that same kind of ring finger calculation. All right, very good. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to open the feet a little wider and the toes face out to the corners. And we're going to gently bend the knees. And now we're going to cross the wrist and lift the wrist above the head and make a big circle with the arm. So cross, lift, big circle. Cross, lift, big circle. Cross, lift, big circle. Good. So probably anyone who's done an aerobics class will recognize something similar to this, right? And what we're trying to do is automate, kind of, again, build that muscle memory for cross, lift, big circle, because when we start to turn the waist, we get confused which hand goes where. But as long as we can remember cross, lift, big circle, no matter where I turn, cross, lift, big circle stays the same. That makes sense? So it doesn't mean that we can't get confused turning, but that's what we're going to try. So, excuse me, so we have the toes out, bending the knees. We're going to turn to the right, cross, lift, big circle as we turn back to the middle. Good. Turn to the left, cross, lift, big circle as we turn back to the middle. Excellent. Turn to the right, cross, lift, big circle, turn to the middle. Turn to the left, cross, lift, big circle, turn to the middle. Turn to the right, cross, lift, big circle, turn to the middle. And turn to the left, cross, lift, big circle, turn to the middle. That went really well. So now we're going to go feet shoulder width again. And the feet parallel. Bending them slightly, we're going to cross our arms with the right hand on the outside. We're going to lift the right hand as we press with the left. We're kind of going for a stretch of the spine here. And we switch. Good. Switch. 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 And switch. Very good. Keep breathing. Palms up. Elbows down. Elbows out. We inhale. And we exhale. Very good. Palms up. Elbows down. Elbows out. We inhale. And we exhale. One more time. Palms up. Elbows down. We inhale. And we exhale. Awesome. I'm just going to check the screen. Okay. So I think this started at 1, right? Okay, so we're technically at time. However, I'm going to break the rules a little more just so we can get some Tai Chi in as well as those exercises. A lot of times, especially when we have new people, I end up trying to explain some things because it's a huge amount of information on it. I've been asked this question, and the answer kind of makes me chuckle a little. People will say to me after their first class, how am I going to remember all of that? And my answer is, you won't. It's impossible. It's way too much information to recount in one sitting, right? If you can remember one piece, one exercise, any of it, that's great. The more we do this, it has a cumulative effect. The more you do it, the more familiar you become with it, the more muscle memory you build in these exercises, and then the easier it becomes from a perspective of memory, right? There's always something in Tai Chi that's a challenge. I've been doing this for well over 35 years. I teach Tai Chi every day. This is what I do for a living. And I can tell you I will never get to the bottom of it. I will never get to the point where I go, I graduate, I know everything there is to know about this. I'm a master of all that. It's never going to happen. That's something that actually has a great appeal to me, right? Is that it's just something we can constantly be improving and we can always get better at it. And that's also true of our physical condition. We can always improve our joint mobility, our balance, our circulation, and how we feel by constantly working on it. So, give it time and repetition, right? That does make a big difference. Before we jump into the part of the form, also, one of the things I want to let everyone know, mostly a reminder to most of you, but it's new information for some. So I actually stream classes live on Zoom. I have right now 4 classes a week. I have on Monday noon to 1. I have this class here, obviously Tuesdays. I have a class on Wednesdays from 1:15 to 2:15, and I have a class I have 2 classes on Friday, one from 9:30 to 10:30 and one from 3 to 4. The Wednesday class is also a free class. Right? It's something that I started during the start of COVID, and and it's something that I'm going to continue to offer as a free class. So I highly recommend you join that class as well. And there's a link to those virtual Zoom classes. The login is the same for all of those classes, but the link to those Zoom classes is on the COA website. So if you go to their virtual class offerings, you can see that. And another thing that we have is at my teacher Calvin school, Calvin Chin's Martial Arts Academy. I'm a senior instructor there, and I run all of the streaming for our programming there. We stream classes live 4 days a week. And so if you go to our YouTube channel at Calvin Chin's Martial Arts Academy and you subscribe and hit the notification bell, it's not like a magazine subscription. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe, but you'll get notified when those classes are actually live. One of the nice things about that is I monitor all of those classes as we're streaming them. And so you can ask a question in the comments section during a live class and I will get it answered for you right away. So on our YouTube channel, we have over 400 archived classes. So there's a ton of content and information, and it's all the same stuff that we're doing here. And so if you wanted a way to kind of refresh your memory or to do it more during the week, and my schedule of Zoom classes wasn't something that was convenient to you because you got other things going on at those times, you can always go to the YouTube channel, Calvin Chin's Martial Arts Academy, and get all that content as well, and there's no cost to that. So we try to offer a lot of resources to make it easier to do this as much as possible, because we know the more we do this, the more benefits we'll experience, and also the better we feel. And let's face it, we didn't start doing Tai Chi because we want to feel this. So, okay. So let's do the grasp the sprouts tail exercise. For some of you, this is obviously review, and sometimes we've done a bit, but we can also benefit from it. So if we go each shoulder width, we make this triangle position. We go to this big hoop. We extend out square. We draw diagonally down towards the hips. We lift the hands to the chest and push up square. We draw diagonally down towards the hips. Palms up, fingers towards each other, and back to triangle. So again, we have triangle, big hoop, square, diagonal, lift up, push up square, diagonal, palms up, fingertips towards each other, and back to triangle. One more time, triangle, hoop, square, diagonal, square, diagonal, palms up, triangle, and back to the square. Awesome. So when we do this in the Tai Chi form, we don't do the symmetrical version we just did, but this is a good way to get a reference for what we're doing in the form. And so now we do the asymmetrical version. We start with a triangle. We're going to draw down with our left hand to the center. We're going to go horizontal elbow with the right. There's your hoop, so the palm facing you, the thumb is up. Left palm against the right palm. Good. We extend the right arm out square. Connect at the wrist. Yep. Draw both hands down to the left hip. Left palm up. Push the right hand to the right hip. Lift the hand to the shoulder. And we go forward. I know that seems like a lot of instruction, but let's try that again. Draw down with the left. Horizontal elbow with the right. Very good. Left palm against the right palm. Extend out square with the right. And at the right wrist to the fingertips of the left. Draw both hands down the left hip. Left palm up. Push your right hand to the right hip. Lift the right hand to the shoulder. And we go forward. Awesome. The legs part of this is just empty stance. And we shift forward, back, and that's it. So if we try that, if we stick our right foot out, empty stance, all the weight on your left, triangle position, draw down with your left hand, horizontal elbow with your right, palm against palm, and now we're going to shift our weight forward. Extend out square with the right arm, connect at the wrist, sit back, draw both hands down the left hip, left palm up, push your right hand to the right hip, lift the hand to the shoulder, and we shift forward. And that's it. Let's try that again. Triangle position, draw down with the left, horizontal elbow with the right, palm against palm, shift your weight forward, extend out with the right hand, connect with the wrist, sit back, we draw down to the left hip, left palm up, push your right hand to the right hip, lift the hand to the shoulder, and we go forward. That is suspiciously like Tai Chi. Okay? So, as always, great job, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to class, and I hope we'll see you again. Thank you all.